Okay, welcome to the cryptos monthly review. Let's see what we can see from a dubious speculation perspective. Let's get into Bitcoin. Let's start with dominance, BTC dominance. So what we can see on BTC dominance here, you can see here, we had big selling volumes, had a bit of uh, a divergence of a back of this selling volume and this buy volume and went up, and we've come to the same place again. The most interesting part for me is you can see here, this is your support and the month close above support. So there is another support zone down here as well. Um, so, but with this big close, and we've broken these support zones here have been broken by this candle. So our next support zone is here, and we seem to be finding some support here, but it's not confirmed because the month is not closed for July. I'd expect that, we will probably try to do a rebounds back here to test these support zones here before we continue the leg to the downside. Will be what we see on Bitcoin dominance. If I step into the weekly chart, again, you can see a very similar story, isn't it? So we're broken the support is being broken by this candle, but the wick is not closed yet. So if the wick closes like this, then chances are your next support zone likely is here, which is where we'll be coming to. But I think ultimately dominance comes all the way down to 55. It's where we'll get major support for the next leg, I guess, to the upside. Because if I bring the some of my indicators up, the MACDs, they're getting close, but we're nowhere near. What we want to see is we want to start seeing the MACD change to green before we say the fall on dominance is anywhere near. Like here, green, you kind of almost over with the fall here as well. So we're nowhere near it on the weekly chart, and we're nowhere near that as well on the monthly chart. So uh, a bit of a bounce, yes, but we will definitely be getting some more downside on dominance. So let's move on to the next one. Let's move on to Bitcoin itself and have a look at Bitcoin. So this is the monthly chart of Bitcoin, and this box is our area of opportunity to buy Bitcoin. It dipped into the box at 57. So personally, that is slightly below the support zone here. So not a bad place to buy Bitcoin, 57. Doesn't mean that it can't go down further, but it's an accumulation phase. All this box here, all the way down to 48K is an accumulation zone because of this support zone here, which sits right here on the monthly chart. Um, and if we close below it, then of course it opens the door for, this support zone right here. And also right here as well, and here. So we're in a very strong support zone, this point here and this point here as well, or here, this block here. So I think buyers will step in as this continues its leg to the downside. I think so. This box is an area of opportunity for us to be picking up some Bitcoin. Um, and with a month close like this, normally you can get a bit of a move back. I think even coming back up to about 66K will be fine because you're not breaking I mean, this will be resistance and we will not be breaking that resistance. If we look at it on a weekly frame, we can see the drops. So this is a clear level one drop. This is a clear level two drop, and we are into our level three drop. And the level three drop for me is a bit too short. It's a bit too short. Um, if we look at it to from here to the base here was 24%, 24%. And if you put it from here also to if we give it 20%, 24%, exactly 24% again, it's about 49K. So that's the sort of thing I would expect. So I don't think we're done yet. There can be a bounce back up to about 62, 63 here, which would be another resistance point. there can be a mini bounce there before we get the big crash back down to kind of these zones here, and that will be a great opportunity to buy. So any time in this box, it will be a great opportunity. 55K is a support zone. 51K, 50K, 49K, all that is a support zone. As you can see here, this whole block here, this whole block is a support zone for Bitcoin, right? Which occurred between February 24 all the way through to October 24. So that's a year of activity. This is not something you're going to crash through quite easily. So I certainly will be buying some at 55K. That would be a great place to start picking some Bitcoin, 55. And if it goes down into the 50s, I buy. And if it goes into the 48, I buy. So kind of staged approach to buying the dip will be what we see on Bitcoin. So a bit of a mini rally, maybe to 62K, 63K at best, and then back down to about 55, 50K, 48K. In between there would be a great place to buy Bitcoin. Let's move on to some of the altcoins we like, Rari. So Rari is giving us some really good cheap prices. So if you look at it on the RSIs, you can see we had our base here, our base of RSI here, and we had a bit of a move, quite a good move with good volume, but sellers came back into the market. And you can see the buyers, people have been buying. A lot of buying took place in this point here. And unfortunately, we sold down, but look at your RSI, look at your RSI, still higher, right? And we've gone lower relative to that. So there's a divergence on the weekly chart, and we don't have monthly confirmations yet because we don't have enough data. But there's a divergence between this point here, this point here, this point here, and also this. And I think this is just a liquidity clear up. Or this point here will be liquidity clear up. I would say that, RAI probably 0.06 is possible, 0.06, 0.05 would be a great place to add to any portfolios you've got. So that's RAI. Once we close above here, once we get Rally gets above 15, close above 15 on the week, that's the end of the fall. Let's move on to IMIX. So IMIX as well, what we can see is, again, you can see that all this point here will be resistance when we start going up. And this is the base. Again, another good one is you see the base here and you see the RSIs are still strong. So here, come lower, the RSI goes lower. We go lower, the RSI is higher. We go lower, RSI is higher. We go lower. So it's really good. I think 10, I think between 0.8, 0.8, 0.08 and somewhere around 10, I would say, will be a great place to buy some IMIX. If IMIX comes back and closes above here, above 19, the fall is over. So that's the one too. Let's look at optimism. So OP is also looking good for me. You can see right from here, you get your the weekly divergences start playing up. So here is the lowest point of RSI. And you can see here, lowest point of RSI, we've gone lower, RSI is still higher. We've gone lower again, RSI is still high. So I think this is a liquidity clear up. This is this candle here. We went just slightly above it, slightly, so just slightly above it. So this is a liquidity clear up. I see we haven't gone above this candle and we'll go above this candle. Any close above it, above here, 16.4, 16.5, end of the fall for optimism. But I would expect this maybe we clean up the liquidity zones here. So maybe 0.8, I'd say 0.80, 0.08, somewhere there will be what I think we'll probably get to. And then we'll be back on our way to the upside. So that is optimism as well. Fatcoin. Let's have a brief look at Fatcoin. Fatcoin is actually looking good, really, because what you can see here is there are some good divergences developing. So you have a base of RSI here, and you have a lowest point here, and this was a liquidation event, and we've come lower here, and the RSI also came lower, and we've gone lower again, but the RSI here and here. So we have a weekly divergence in play on the on Fatcoin. I think Fatcoin, if it closes above the resistance point, which is here, I mean this is initial resistance, so around 14.6. If we have a weekly close about 14.6, that opens the door for us to go and challenge the resistances here 2.3 and also at 2.6. I think we are forming a local bottom on Fatcoin. Yeah, I think we are forming a local bottom. The RSIs are looking very strong. The MACD is also starting to change. And if we bring it to a daily chart, you can see what is happening here. So again, you can see the RSIs, here lowest point price. We've gone lower again. We've gone lower again. And the RSIs are still higher relative to this point here. So it's good for me on a 3D chart, and on a daily chart also we have finally closed above resistance here, and we've done a retest, and this seemed to be successful. So I think, for me, I think I expect that we will go higher on Fatcoin. I think the daily suggestion will go higher, and the week will probably end up closing above the resistance and maybe somewhere around 16, and then that opens the door for higher prices for Fatcoin. Let's move on to the next one, which is FET. It's another one that we like. So on the monthly chart on FET, we had this sell-off here, and since then we had a good move to the upside. The RSIs really got oversold here, and we've had another kind of divergence here as well on the monthly chart. Had a bit of a sell-off here, and the sellers have pushed the price slightly below the close here. So it could clear liquidity. I think, we could be into a liquidity clear up. I see a liquidity clear up down here. A liquidity clear up down here is possible before we get going. So any wicks of price to maybe oh, this is ICP. Sorry, I wanted FET, not ICP. Sorry. Yeah, so FET, sorry. So I think we'll come back to the support zone. That's what I think. This support zone will come back into it. Will be a quick zip into it to maybe 0.09, 0.10, somewhere there, and then we'll be back up going the other way. That's what we see. As soon as this is exceeded, it'll be fantastic. And I think we'll get support around the 0.6 to the somewhere here 2.11. That would be a great place to pick up some FET. So let's move on to the next one, which is ICP. So ICP, we expect an ICP will come below $2 before we go. So that'll be a buying opportunity there. So would expect that this here is most likely to be exceeded. This here will be likely exceeded. So, and I think it's possible that we come back all the way down here to 118. It's possible. So a bit more downside on ICP before the big leg to the upside. Let's move on to say no, Zcash. So Zcash, I think with a monthly close like this, I'd expect us to come lower. We may go up slightly first before, but I'd expect us to come for lower prices, come into the support zone here around 219, and it will also be a support zone here somewhere up here. So there's a bit of a drop on Zcash. Incoming injective, we like that as well. Injective is looking good. Monthly chart closed red. I'd expect that we will potentially zip. We could have a zip down into the lows here, 274. Could come and clear liquidity up here before we get going to the upside. But yeah, this place will be resistance. around the 871 will be resistance. If you close above that, that provides the opportunity to go higher. Render is also, I think, got some liquidity clear up to happen down here. I think there will be a liquidity clear up here before we go up. So opportunity to buy some cheap ones on the downside. RV is looking good on the monthly chart. I think RV is looking good because we came all the way down here, got rejected, right? And we've closed green on the month, so which is great. So I think, chances are we come and take some liquidity, bit of liquidity of this candle, come into the support zones here, somewhere here again, before we get going. So that'll be a great buy, but any move down here is a great opportunity to buy RV. Let's move on to last one. We'll pick up this Pendle. So Pendle, you can see here, we had our monthly divergence, went up, and liquidity clear up. So taking liquidity, come all the way down to these bottoms here. If I bring it to the weekly chart, you can see on the weekly chart, we've taken most of the liquidity has been cleared up, and this place is support zone. So it's looking good on Pendle. I think once Pendle closes about 197, we are into a new phase. So Pendle is looking quite strong relative to some of the other coins. We've had a dead cross also here. So there's been a dead cross happening here. So we rallied into the dead cross. And if we don't go and close higher today, I would want to see today close higher here. If we close higher above here, we go for more higher prices. Otherwise, back to the base again, declare some more liquidity will be what we say. I think that is all I've got in terms of cryptos, and I wish you all the best and God bless.